田島さんは今何をおっしゃいと言いますか。あなた遅いです。
The next movie is The Grand Seduction. It takes place and filmed, actually, in Newfoundland. On the eastern part of Canada. Newfoundland is this big giant island. It's one of the jewels of Canada. You have to go visit this place. It's magnificent beyond belief. It's so beautiful and so unusual. The ancestry here is like the Vikings and people from Denmark and somewhat Irish and Scottish to a point, but all these ancestors all blended into one group of people, and they call them Newfoundlanders today. I absolutely love the accent. Newfoundland people are fun to be with and to party with. I love the accent of these people. Eastern Canadians have these great accents from Newfoundland all the way down to southern Nova Scotia. If you listen to this, it's sort of, the tongue sort of rolls around like the Irish type of tongue. Not everybody in Canada speaks the way they do in the western part of Canada. Toronto has its type of accent, the French in Quebec have their type of accent, but the eastern part of Canada, they just have a very distinct British style accent. It's quite nice to listen to. That being said, this is a magnificent movie to watch. It's if you like the Beachcombers, if you enjoyed the Beachcomber series, you're going to enjoy this movie very much. The story is about these Newfoundlanders that were thrown out because the cod industry collapsed. This is a big fish that used to be off the coast of Newfoundland in such vast quantities that the earlier Europeans who arrived in their ships found that there were so many cod that you could throw your net into the water and pull it up full of cod, which pretty much is what had happened. The cod were so plentiful they seemed to go on forever until the invention of the factory ships. When the factory ships came in, they just denuded the whole and destroyed the whole cod industry until there was nothing left. In the 1900s, in 1990s, the cod industry collapsed. There was more being fished than could be reproduced, so the Canadian government ended the fishing of cod. You could catch it for rod and reel if you want to, but you cannot catch cod to process it and sell it. In order to get the cod to reproduce and the industry to come back again, which never happened. Once the cod was decimated in the early 90s, the industry was shut down. They expected the cod industry to pick up and come back online in about 3 to 5 years. It never made it back again. I think the destruction occurred around 1992. It was such a shock to have that sort of thing happen, and that's what this story is about. These fishermen in Newfoundland whose whole life revolved around fishing the cod couldn't fish it anymore, so they all ended up in this tiny little village in the ocean, in the harbor, tiny harbor, unemployed, and they either had to leave or go on welfare to survive. And the welfare brought a lot of shame and inactivity for these people. So we see them struggling to keep their community going. And a factory, an oil factory, because there's a lot of Newfoundland is now, instead of being a have-not area of Canada, is now a have area of Canada, where they're actually exporting money to the rest of Canada rather than be the welfare state of Canada because of the offshore oil and gas. And so a company shows up and they want to develop a factory where they can gas and oil byproducts turn into something else, something useful, or just destroyed there. So this little fishing community wants the factory, but in order to get the factory, they have to have a doctor in the community as being one of the avenues towards getting the factory. So what they do is a doctor arrives in Canada from being over in, I think he went to England, and he was coming back, and they found drugs in his possessions, so that he was forced to work in this fishing community for a period of 1 month as his penalty for coming back like that. So the doctor arrives in the community, but they try to hang on to him by finding out his likes and making the community into his likes, and creating a community that was designed specifically for him, which was actually working, because the doctor's home life with his girlfriend was collapsing. He found that his girlfriend in the western part of Canada was actually cheating on him with his best friend, and all his other friends knew about it, and they were keeping it a secret from him, so he felt betrayed. And that brought the doctor to want to live in this community because it was so splendid. But then he finds out in the end that everybody had lied to him, and that they were making up all this effort to keep him there. But the one thing that the doctor also realized was that the one girl there who he could be romantically involved with, a single girl who didn't actually want him, was the only one who didn't lie to him, who actually told him the truth always and didn't pretend. And I think it was because of her that he decided, I'm going to stay here, because everybody else in my life lied to me, but she didn't. And then they became good friends. But the great part of this film is that it's so lovingly made, and so down earth, and so friendly, and the humor is funny, and it's so timely. And plus, this is one of the most beautiful places on the face of the planet, and it's one of the jewels of Canada. I very much recommend the Grand Seduction, that you go see this film. It's a magnificent movie. It's so down to earth and so full of love and beauty. You'll enjoy it very much, and especially that type of humor. The Grand Seduction, very much recommended.
中島さんは今何をおっしゃいておりますか？あなた遅いです。